I know that you have a soft spot for the prophet Jeremiah.
I do like Jeremiah a lot.
I know.
Yeah.
I think it's really nice. And we're going to talk about one of his clobber passages.
Yes.
So talk me through Jeremiah 17:9. The heart is devious above all else. It is perverse. Who can understand it?
Right. So, I mean, this is a good go-to passage to prove that people are basically horrible.
Yeah,
it says
yeah.
it right there.
Yeah.
So the heart is devious or deceptive, wicked in some translations, and it's not a good thing. So that's true. Let's not soft pedal that. That's true. The problem is that there's no way Jeremiah is making a pronouncement on all humanity, because there's a context for this. And it's like with everything in Jeremiah, it's the coming Babylonian invasion. And the question is, are you going to trust God to see you through this? Or are you going to take matters into your own hands? Like, for example, like sacrificing children to appease either Yahweh or some foreign god. It's not really clear what's happening there. But so what are you going to do? And the fact is that in that very same passage, a few verses earlier, there are those who trust God, but then there are those who don't, right? So it's one of these very typical in the prophets hyperbolic statements. The heart is wicked. That's what it does. It's deceptive. It's this kind of stuff. But there are people who are fine. There are trusting, and there are other people who aren't. So this is a very contextually specific kind of statement. It's not a statement of systematic theology of the nature of humanity.
Yeah.
It's a specific thing about this moment in history, and there are a critical number of Judahites who are just not with the program at this point.
In terms of their trust in God.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because anytime I had heard this passage growing up, it was always about my emotions.
Yes.
Like, you can't trust your emotions. So is this
wrong,
an emotion
very
passage?
Wrong, very wrong. No, it's not an emotion
Talk me
passage
through
at all.
it.
See, the heart in the Old Testament, it's the seat of everything. It's the seat of your thinking. It's the seat of your emotions. It's the seat of your will. It's the seat of your morality. Right? It's basic. It's almost like functioning like the brain does today, but it's like, it's you, right? Yeah. So it's like when Proverbs says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. It's not that, it could include that, but it's also with your intention, with your thinking, and with your actions, right? It's everything. So people, like the core of us is messed up. No, that's not a proof text for original sin. He's not... The Old Testament doesn't talk that way. There's a moment here, and these residents of Jerusalem, there is a problem here, and Jeremiah is just going ballistic at this point. So again, the problem is taking hyperbolic statements and not reading them as hyperbolic statements, reading them as cool, common, collected, rational, systematic, theological statements. They're not.
Yeah.
And forgetting the context and sort of, well, I'm not Jewish living in Jerusalem. How does this relate to me? My heart must be wicked too all the time. That's all it is, right? Yeah. And that sort of gets people beating themselves up like they're worthless worms or something from passages like this. So take the passage seriously, respect it, but we always have to look at to what extent is it prescriptive? It tells you the truth no matter what the situation is, and to what extent is it descriptive, telling us something about that current moment. And that can be discussed, that can be debated, but just to look at this and sort of absolutize it, right, to make it absolutely true of everything deeply at all times. I mean, I think we're asking more of this story than it can possibly deliver.
Yeah, but in this context, what was Jeremiah saying? Was it just about the fidelity piece? What was it?
Well, I think it was an exaggerated way of saying that the people here are so deeply corrupt in not trusting God for their deliverance. That's, I mean, we say wicked is one way translation, but deceptive or devious. You're devious, maybe you're saying, oh yeah, we're trusting in Yahweh, go sacrifice your kids over here someplace, right? It's again, contextually looking at that, it makes a big difference.
So helpful,
right?
Yeah.
Now, of course, what I just said, I believe that's very true. I can't prove that like a math formula. But one thing I do know is that the Bible says all sorts of beautiful things about humanity too. You know, made him a little lower, made humanity a little lower than the angels, Psalm 8, things like that. It's not like always down, but the prophets, okay, if you want downer language on people, you read the prophets, right? Because there's always, they're there because things are not going right. you're not going to get, let's say, normal everyday human evaluations, let's say, in those kinds of stories.
Yeah, that's so helpful. That's so helpful to think of when we read the prophets, to think of them as war cries and like battle cries in some sense, in terms of like the intensity of the language. Like these people were not walking into coffee shops saying the heart is wicked.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Did you know?
Yeah, that there was something deeper going on and more intense.
Yeah.
I love that.
And then also just using that, like if you disagree with somebody after church or something over coffee, and you say something maybe controversial, I think we should wear masks, or I think, abortion shouldn't be illegalized, not to trigger people here, but, just say something like that and says, well, your heart's just wicked.
Yeah.
The Bible says it. It's right there. It's a verse for you. What if that verse is for you? What if that verse isn't for either of us here? What if that is actually masking the real issue that we have to talk through that's very theological and very scriptural and very Christian, right?
Yeah.
So it sometimes is a way of truly clobbering people, but the assumption made is that I can take this verse, irrespective of how it was functioning, and pin it on you because I disagree with what you're saying. And again, that can go for anybody on any side of any debate.
Yeah.
Right? And that is not respectful of the Bible. That is a very bad use of the Bible.
Yeah, to clobber people.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Oh, Jeremiah, we love you.
We do.